22-23 season in St. Croix, we had 67 cruise ship calls. For the 2025-26 season, we will have 112. Today's signing is part of a larger Port Authority initiative that supports balance-wide growth, ensuring that St. Croix, particularly the Frederiksted Cruise Port, continues to benefit from cruise tourism and remains an integral part of our overall port strategy. For St. Croix, this means greater opportunity for increased cruise calls, enhanced visitor movement into Frederiksted, and expanded exposure for the island's culture, history, and small businesses. The board was deliberate in advancing a public-private partnership model, leveraging private investment while minimizing financial risk to the authority and protecting taxpayer interests. This agreement will generate meaningful economic impact, including job creation during construction and long-term employment opportunities tied to port operations and tourism services. Our focus has always been on ensuring that growth is inclusive, creating opportunities for local vendors, taxi operators, tour providers, and entrepreneurs across all 3 islands. I should say 4 islands. Today's signing reflects the board's commitment to transparency, accountability, and long-term economic resilience, ensuring that our ports continue to serve as engines of opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman John. I next invite for her remarks the Honorable Jennifer Matarangas-King. She is the Commissioner Designee for the VI Department of Tourism and a member of the Port Authority Board of Governors.
Good afternoon, everyone. As formal protocols have already been established, today marks more than the signing of an agreement. It truly represents a shared commitment to the future of the U.S. Virgin Islands, one rooted in strategic growth, thoughtful development, and opportunity for our people and our home. And I have to say a special thank you to our board chairman, Willard John. When we had our meeting yesterday, we talked about the importance of letting everyone know this is not just about St. Thomas. It truly is about the Virgin Islands, and the relationship that we have with Royal Caribbean is going to benefit everyone. As a Cruisian, I'm often asked, what are you doing for St. Croix? Well, this includes St. Croix, so I'm really glad that you shared how this relationship is going to benefit everyone. I think that's important to know. It's an important part of the narrative. Crownbay has long served as a gateway to St. Thomas and, more importantly, to the Virgin Islands experience. With this redevelopment, we are reimagining that gateway, not only as a point of arrival for cruise visitors, but as a vibrant district that reflects who we are, what we offer, and where we're going as a destination, the entire territory. From the Department of Tourism's perspective, and I'm newly minted, and I've only been there for about 4 months. It's been an amazing ride, though, and very excited about the future. This project is transformational. It strengthens our competitiveness in the global cruise market, and it's a very competitive market, while creating new space for engagement. And I do want to say a little something about the engagement with our artisans and businesses. The Celebrity Excel that's right behind you, one of the unique experiences is the bazaar, where our local businesses, St. Croix, St. Thomas, and St. John are represented, are actually on the ship showing their wares. And I think that's a unique experience that's benefiting everyone. We are so proud of our artists, and they're able to not just while people are in port, benefit, but after they leave. And that's a wonderful part of our collaboration, not just with Royal Caribbean, but also with the EDA, Made in the USVI. So we're very proud of that initiative. It strengthens our competitiveness in the global cruise market while creating new space for authentic Virgin Islands culture, local business participation, and memorable visitor engagement. This reimagining allows us to better connect cruise guests to our communities, our history, and our people, turning arrivals into impactful experiences and experiences into return visits. And that's always what we're looking for. I think it's important for most people to know that the majority of people who come back for that 4 or 5 day extended stay, many of them, their first relationship with us, their first engagement with us is on a cruise ship. So this is a very important part of our long-term marketing. Equally important, this redevelopment underscores the power of relationships and partnerships with Royal Caribbean Group and Cruise Terminals International. It's a result of collaboration between public agencies, private investment, and a shared vision for sustainable economic impact. When we align infrastructure with tourism strategy, we create long-term value, not just for visitors, but for residents across the territory. And anyone who knows what we're doing, it's all about vested interest and linking our visitors and our local residents. That's very, very important for the Department of Tourism. As Tourism Commissioner, I'm especially excited about what this means for our future. Increased visitor spend, expanded opportunities for entrepreneurs, as I mentioned before, enhanced port experiences, and a stronger platform for showcasing the United States Virgin Islands to the world. I congratulate the Virgin Islands Port Authority, Executive Director Dow, and all partners involved for their leadership and commitment to progress. The USVI Department of Tourism looks forward to continuing our collaboration as this redevelopment takes shape, and we know it's going to be very exciting. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of this milestone, and today we take an important step forward together. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Matarangas-King. And now I actually introduce a man that needs almost no introduction. The Executive Director of the Virgin Islands Port Authority. Please applaud. And you know he's going to tell you, this ain't a funeral. Applaud, applaud loud. Mr. Carlton Dow.
That's the money. Hey, good afternoon to everyone. You guys know I'm a shy individual. Yeah. Before I actually get started into a couple of the things that I want to touch on today, I want to recognize a few individuals, as quickly as I can. Don't worry about anything, because one of the things we did, we made sure that Wendy, stand up, Wendy. Please stand up, Wendy. So that's the lady who runs Royal Caribbean Destinations and all what happened. Give a round of applause to Wendy. And the reason I ask you to give a round of applause, we want to make sure the ships stay here late. So I asked Wendy to bring the captain them down. So could both of the captains stand and be recognized by this territory? Thank you. It was just a week ago when you were here bringing the maiden voyage to us, and so we really... Man, I clap again for these people. I also want to recognize Miss Lisa Hamilton from the Hotel Association. And Commissioner Matarangas-King had it right, because today's cruise ship passenger is tomorrow's hotel guest. I also want to take the time and recognize a special gentleman, Mr. Sean Miller. That's the gentleman that owns the new Hilton Hampton Hotel. Sean, stand up. And every time I see Sean anywhere, I know hope is alive, because that gentleman approached the port and its governing body, and we had some discussion. The biggest freestanding hangar in the Eastern Caribbean sits at Cyril Emmanuel King Airport, built by Sean Miller in collaboration with the Virgin Islands Port Authority. And why these kind of relationships are very important is because when the world recognizes that we are open up to business, other businesses will in fact follow. I also want to take a quick second and recognize former Governor John P. DeYoung. Governor DeYoung, stand up, man. I know it's a little hard now on the knees. And it's not often that, hey, this one was funny. It's not often that we get the Chief Justice of the Virgin Islands Supreme Court to be a part of any ceremony, any function. Judge Research, please stand and be recognized, man. But to our friends, CTI and Royal Caribbean, I want you to understand, we had to invite the judge here, for the Supreme Court is right across there. And when we were having a discussion about what building going and what building staying, I said, let me tell you something. Walk around the Supreme Court, for God's sake. So we appreciate all the communication we've had with his staff as to the project. I also want to recognize any former senators in the building. Please stand, because it's from these kind of foundation things was built. Senator Ali Allison Petros, I see you there. Stand up, Ali. Senator Jeanette Millen Young, I see her there. The Calypso King of the World, board member, senator, the longest majority leader in the Virgin Islands legislature, Senator White, please stand and be recognized. Now, after all of that, I want to really say that I want to recognize our governing body. Without them, none of this could be possible. And a lot of times people would say, hey, Dow, you guys get things done, you get things done, and so forth. But that can't happen. The leadership is only one thing. But if you can't motivate and get people interested in what you're doing, whether they like or hate, to follow what you're trying to do, it goes for naught. So all the members of the Virgin Islands Port Authority employees, please stand. If I see a Port Authority employee not standing, that means you don't want to work. So anyhow, I appreciate each and everything that you guys do for the authority every day. Thank you. Katrina, I ask you to stand too and be recognized again, please. Sorry. Okay. You know why? I'm glad that happened. Katrina, you come up here. Thanks. Come quickly, Katrina. High heel and all. Come. So Melissa is behind me, but come. The reason I'm taking the time, people of this territory and everyone here, is because these young ladies from Royal Caribbean, they were virtually living in the territory, back and forth, Miami, St. Thomas, Miami, St. Thomas. And so I really want to tell you that a lot of what you're seeing happen, it don't just happen overnight. It's the hard work of these individuals. Give Josh my regards, but I really welcome you guys and appreciate everything you have done to make this deal get to where it's at today. I called Melissa this morning and said, Melissa, what you want for breakfast? I'm trying to sweet up before she come. What you want for breakfast? Melissa said, Mr. Dow, I already ate. She said, I got up from my hotel early. And I went up, you know, Savan? I said, Savan? She said, yes. I went by Weeks and Weeks Bakery. So you know Melissa local. Give it up for Melissa. Thanks. I frightened. She tell me she got Weeks and Weeks Bakery. Now, on a more serious note, major change is never simple nor easy in any community. But I believe we have a right to inform the public and the population, and our media have a right, when we know better, to say better and make sure that the proper information is being disseminated among our population. I think the board was so correct when he spoke to one issue that sometimes we hear. They're giving away the place. The property will continue to be owned by the government of the Virgin Islands, and by extension, the Virgin Islands Port Authority and the people of the Virgin Islands. We were back and forth having these discussions over roughly a 2-year period. And I really want to thank all who have been involved. It took a long time. But once we are focused, public and private entities having discussion, anything is possible. Another thing that is a myth around this community is that, well, what does tourism really do for this place? And all of us have a responsibility to make our population understand that over 75% of what we spend in this territory is a result, directly or indirectly, of the tourism product. Let that be clear. For example, you see tropical shipping across the way. So everybody look at that, that's where the containers come in. But how does that tie into the tourism product? Well, when those containers come in and leave Miami, West Palm Beach, and comes into our port, the food that's coming in on that vessel, some of that same food ends up on the cruise ship. So the employees at Tropical should also recognize that part of their being is the cruise ship industry. But moreover, this territory also serves as that place where containers, large containers coming right across the way, those containers are taken off and broken down into smaller containers and go on to other Caribbean islands. So that's the indirect, in some instances, what happens. And so we need to be telling the story so everyone understands. We don't take these things for granted, but we understand and respect what the value is to the territory and, by extension, to the people. The human side of the authority was another big set of discussion, and everybody say whatever they wanted to say and all the discussion and what's going to happen. But let us be clear. Most of the property in this area is owned by the Port Authority. Few parcels were not owned by the Port Authority. When we started to say we have to do this, get these properties for the development, and rightfully so, there was this concern, oh God, what are you going to do with Busu? What are you guys going to do with the mechanics? How are you going to put them out? Well, the fact is, those are our people as well. And the human side of the Port Authority said we are going to work with our partners to help them to relocate. Let it be clear. Those folks that are on our property today, most don't have a lease. And if they do have a lease, they have a 30-day, a month-to-month lease, which means with a 30-day notice, they could be gone. But the human part of us, recognizing it's one people, we don't want to just say go. And that's why our partners, Royal and CTI, we embark upon for us a solution where Royal Caribbean passengers pay an additional $5 per passenger so that they can help the Port Authority in relocation and redevelopment. The uptown, you heard Kevin spoke about the environmental mitigation. And folks, we shouldn't take that lightly, just by the very nature of what the activity that was done in Crownbay. There is serious environmental or some environmental impact. Well, we're not asking the government of the Virgin Islands to bear the burden. Our partners and ourselves have said, you know what? We're going to take on the burden of cleaning up and mitigating those problems. So there again, that's a true part of what we are, who we are, and the partnership that we have engaged in. The mechanics, so I know Senator DeGraff, you will say, what are you doing with my mechanic? Well, let me tell you, and to tell your mechanic today, that Mr. Goldstein here and ourselves, the Director of Engineering, Wave Preston, I didn't see you stand up when I asked for the employees, you know. You had stand up? Well, let's stand up again. That's Preston Breyer, Director of Engineering. Well, what we have done, we have already signed an agreement to have the design. We're doing a design build so that we could build out the warehouses, the mechanic shops, and property the port already owned. So we're not putting them out. They'll get new facilities, better area to work, but that's the human side of us. And you have a right, Senator DeGraff, to look out for your constituents. Give it up for Senator DeGraff. Actually, I wanted to make sure you vote for it first. Just kidding. But something historic happened as well. It's not normally easy to get 15 senators. Even their own name, they can't agree on sometimes. But to get 15 of them to agree to support such a project, that is worthy of all of us putting our hands together and recognizing what the members of the 36th legislature have done. It's easy to curse them. Put your man, make someone nice, no? Please clap again. I have 2 more proposals down there. Now, I also want to recognize one of the members who's not present. He sent me a text while I was there. Senator Cordwell, he called my name. So I called in his name. But I want Ms. John from his office to stand up and be recognized, because when we were back and forth trying to figure out how we're going to maneuver with this piece of legislation, Senator Cordwell was able to rally his colleagues and work and doing this bill in the nature of a substitute so that we could move forward. And Senator Blyden, I thank you as well, Senator Novell Francis, and Senator Clifford Joseph, all of you. I really appreciate your work. And you're saying, hurry up. Well, if it took 2 years for this project, why am I hurrying up? We've got to make sure that the public is as informed as we can possibly make them inform and understand what has transpired. So there was references to St. Croix. When we started this job, St. Croix, going into St. Croix for 25 years, all cruise ship passengers went into St. Croix for free. When we said to Royal, man, that's a little rough. We can't afford that. Our partners, and sometimes, you guys know I take the blows. We ain't paying $3. I know the fight. But sometimes we've got to stand up and work with each other to get where we want to go. And Royal Caribbean was the first to agree, you know what, you're right. Going into St. Croix, they started paying $5. And that's all we were asking for. Let's pay something. A couple of years in our discussion and negotiations, that was bumped up to $7, which they're paying today. And what we agreed to is that provided this document, we execute these leases and the deeds, that when we finally finish our document, what was $7 in St. Croix is now going to $15 in St. Croix. Give it up for Royal Caribbean. I'm going to kind of wind down, but I want to say to all of us, I have a grandson right now attending college in Orlando. And the school that he's attending is a marine boat repair school. So we don't have to tell all our children, hurry up, go college. But there is an industry in that water that we must continue to educate and inform our young people about. Somebody asked me coming in, I doing this deal with them, but how much money they're going to make? What we know, nobody is going to invest over $200 million with an expectation not to make money. But at the same token, while they're making some, we must make sure that the territory and the Port Authority get some benefit as well. Nothing wrong with that. So we must start to push back on these kind of nonsense that, well, oh God, they're going with the police. We must push back. Tell that to the taxi driver whose daughter is in college right now. Tell that to John who have a restaurant. You tell that to the folks who operate in the Contiki. Most of all, most of the visitors at Magens Bay Beach are visitors from the cruise ships. You tell that to Magens Bay Authority, who is an independent organization that pays all their own bills. How those things are possible had it not been for the kind of representation that they get from these schools line. I see Ms. Barbara Peterson in the audience. Ms. Barbara Peterson from Megan's Bay, please stand up and be recognized. Stand up, Barbara. So there was this building as you're coming in, and the captain reminded me, serious talk about a week and a half ago. We should all care about how this place looked. And there was this building, all of us know, an old public work warehouse that went up in flames. It burned down. And for years, that building, as the cruise ship coming in, staring them in the face. We shouldn't like it for our local people. We shouldn't like it for the visitors. The Port Authority did something about it. I remember calling Governor John DeYoung when I came down and I said, hey, I know that owned by the government, but the Port Authority need to buy it. He was like, what? He said, you ain't getting it free or no, you got to pay something. I said, you just send down a proposal to the legislature where you want to borrow some money. So you're either going to work with me one way or die moving at all. John said, hurry up. I go in the building. So we've got to work with each other, long story short. And today, we bought a building a long time because that's the vision and the insight that the board have. So I want to tell all of us in a real way, public-private partnership, nothing is wrong with that. Everybody must get something from it and benefit. I see Mr. Larry Belinsky in the back shaking his head. That's our financial advisor. Hail the people, Larry. And Larry asked me, that's our financial advisor, and Larry was asking me today if I can extend. He only down here for this meeting and he's flying out tomorrow. But you can't do nothing that would extend my stay. I said, Larry, I would figure you want to go home. It's Christmas, go home to your family. Larry says, yeah, but it's 10 degrees where I just came from. That's a reason to want to see. So Larry, we thank you every time. I really want to wrap up by thanking the administration, Lieutenant Governor Roach, also thanking Governor Albert Bryant. Because these things don't happen one by one. It happens with the involvement and total involvement and buy-in by the administration. And I also would like to thank Milton Potter, the Senate President. I would ask you, that's the one who set the schedule, putting an agenda, and God knows we've been on the phone so many times, back and forth trying to get this issue on the agenda. I really admire him because both of us have always attended the same barber. I leave you now with something that my mother, who has since passed, and the older people would say something to you, and as a child, it meant nothing. But today, let me share this with you. Growing up, my mother would tell me that when she was heading home from school, a bunch of school children, she was from the British Virgin Islands, Tatola. And when all the school children are going home, along the way, there were so many 5, 10 mango trees. And this one mango tree, all the school children them would stop and throw stone. The tree was so big. Throw stone to knock the mangoes down to get them so that they can eat those mangoes. But she always said there were so many other trees. Why they would do that? And she reminded me, son, folks would only throw stones at a tree that bear fruit. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you, Director Dow, for those moving words. And next, I would like to invite the President of the 36th Legislature of the Virgin Islands, the Honorable Milton E. Potter.
Madam Mistress of Celebration, I have a complaint of all the people on this podium, all the speakers, why I have to go after Dow. I just, it's protocol. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Honorable Governor Albert Bryant Jr., Honorable Lieutenant Governor Tregenza Roach, my honorable colleagues in the 36th legislature, and we have Senator Dwayne DeGraff, Senator Novell Francis, Senator Clifford Joseph, and Senator Marvin Blyden. Thank you all for being here. Representing a delegate to Congress, we have Dr. Nellie Balak. We have, of course, former Governor John DeYoung, as well as our Chief Justice, Reese Hodge, other distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, partners from our Royal Caribbean Group and Cruise Terminals International, and all the residents of the U.S. Virgin Islands. I want to really thank you for the opportunity to share in this historic moment. Today's signing represents far more than a contract. It is a vote of confidence in the future of Crownbay and in the people of these Virgin Islands. I say this because this transformative agreement will help redevelop Crownbay into a vibrant, mixed-use destination that serves residents as well as visitors alike, creating opportunities for local merchants, our taxi drivers, our tour providers, and entrepreneurs, and supporting hundreds of jobs during construction and beyond. Moments like this remind us that partnership is one of the most powerful tools any community possesses, because alone we can make progress, but together we can reshape a district, reimagine an economy, and renew a sense of possibility for the entire U.S. Virgin Islands. As president of the 36th legislature, standing here at the Austin Bay Monsanto Marine Terminal, there's a deep sense of continuity and responsibility. Crownbay has long been the gateway to our islands and a lifeline for our economy. And this project strengthens that role while signaling to the world that the Virgin Islands is serious about sustainable, inclusive development that benefits working families as well as small businesses. Equally important is a commitment to honor and showcase the military history of Crownbay, providing or proving that true development does not erase our past, but elevates our stories as well as our heroes. By weaving that history into a modern destination, this agreement respects where we have come from, even as it boldly embraces where we are going. Now, anyone who knows Executive Director Carlton Dow knows that once he has a vision in his mind, he's not easily discouraged. Some might say that this agreement proves two things: that the power of partnership is real, and that it may actually be easier to redesign a whole cruise ship terminal than to tell Dow no and expect him not to come back tomorrow with an even better proposal. His persistence and determination are legendary, and today that tenacity has helped deliver a win for the U.S. Virgin Islands. Let's give Senator Dow a round of applause. On behalf of my colleagues in the 36th legislature of the U.S. Virgin Islands, congratulations to the Virgin Islands Port Authority, to Royal Caribbean Group, to Cruise Terminals International, and to the people of these Virgin Islands on this landmark agreement. May this project stand as a model of thoughtful development that honors our history, strengthens our economy, and improves the quality of life for generations of Virgin Islanders to come. Thank you very much and enjoy the celebration.
Thank you, Senate President Potter, and thank you and all your colleagues of the 36th Legislature for your continued support. Now it is my distinct pleasure to welcome the Honorable Tregenza A. Roach, Esquire, Lieutenant Governor of the U.S. Virgin Islands, to the podium for his remarks.
Thank you, Mistress of Celebration. We're almost there. Just hold on a little longer. We don't get to say protocol having been established. So a special good afternoon to the Honorable Albert Bryan, our governor, to the Honorable Milton E. Potter, our Senate President, to our judiciary, represented here by our Supreme Court, Reese Hodge. I want to say a special good afternoon to the clergy and to all of our platform guests, the chairman of the board of the Port Authority, the executive director, and the staff of the Port Authority that's here, our partners, Cruise Terminals International and Royal Caribbean Group, our Commission of Tourism, members of the Governor's Cabinet that are here, and our distinguished representatives of the 36th Legislature as well, Senator Novell Francis, Senator Clifford Joseph, Senator Dwayne DeGraff, Senator Marvin Blyden, and I must acknowledge my colleague in the 30th, 31st, and 32nd legislatures, former Senator Millen Young, former Senator Celestino White, and of course, former Governor John DeYoung, and to all you wonderful Virgin Islanders who have turned out here for this grand celebration. You know, sometimes when you try to imagine, when you look at how we have transformed and are transforming, sometimes you have to look at a photograph to remember a place as it was. And so I'm very pleased that Chairman John made some references to what used to be in this space, because we really were a submarine base. And as children, we had tours, climbing down the hatch into those submarines and seeing the closed quarters where these seamen spent months. And there was a school in this area as well, the Gramboko Elementary School, that housed kindergarten to 6th grade, and that was my 6th grade school. We also had at this site one of the biggest industrial disasters in our territory, which people of that era refer to as the Carib Gas Fire. And that was when the Carib Gas facility over there in the back somewhere exploded, and people lost their lives in that event. And so where we stand really is sacred ground. And I'm glad Director Dow made the points about the fact that this land, although there will be some exchanges to the Port Authority, this land belongs to the people of the Virgin Islands in perpetuity. When we describe the transfer of the Danish West Indies to the United States of America, which actually occurred in 1916, although we celebrate the actual transfer in 1917. We often say the United States purchased these islands from Denmark for $25 million in gold, right? But if you look at the historical record, the United States actually said to Denmark, if you don't sell them, we're going to take them. It wasn't a peaceful setting. Denmark didn't just march down and say, we want to sell you the Virgin Islands for $25 million in gold. It was a threat. We will take it if you don't sell it. And why? When we use the word global on this stage, it's not lightly used, because the Virgin Islands is and was of global significance at that time. And it was a location at which the US thought that the defense of the Panama Canal, recently completed, would be accomplished, a strategic place as the world was at war. And even before the world was at war, these islands built up Europe. They built up Denmark, so that Denmark today could boast of having a happy population and could be a place of free healthcare and free education, because we, the Virgin Islands, made the foundation. And so when we speak of why people want to come here, I'm glad the captains came down, who I was pleased to visit their ship, and quoting Captain Kirk, everybody wants to come to St. Thomas. And by extension, the Virgin Islands, because we see how we have increased the numbers to St. Croix as well. And collaboration is to be celebrated. So I celebrate the Port Authority and I celebrate our partners. Because when they speak of what will come, the rum distillery, the day resort, for the benefit of residents as well as our visitors, it speaks to the fact that we continue to be of global significance. We offer a diverse, a vibrant, a fascinating culture to people who want to come here and spend time and share their resources with us. So I am pleased to be a part of this collaboration. I am pleased to witness the transformation of this place that I have spent so much of my life, and Virgin Islanders have reason to regard and want to retain this space because it is such a vital one in our history. So thank you to each and every person who had anything to do with bringing this to fruition. We are grateful for the participation and for the vision and for what will come for the future of the territory. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Honorable Lieutenant Governor Roach. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I ask you to please stand as we welcome the Honorable Governor of the United States Virgin Islands, Albert Bryan Jr.
Good afternoon. Please be seated. I might have to protocol up today. But I'm going to say good afternoon to the Lieutenant Governor. And my Governor John DeYoung, all the clergy, everybody here, our guests from Royal Caribbean. I want to say good afternoon. What is left to say? But don't talk longer. He's the governor, so I'm going to talk longer. You know, everything was said today. It was so poignant. It was so true. As I was coming through the gate, I was stopped by one of our seniors, and the first thing she said to me, hi, Chief Justice. Good afternoon. The first thing she said to me was, Governor, how you go sell the dock to the cruise ship them? Say, we have not sold the dock to the cruise ship them. The dock and everything belong. I keep saying it because misinformation is a code of the day. But if you don't think the Virgin Islands is serious about tourism and about our product, let me reacquaint you. We raised $85 million for the revitalization of the Marriott, the Westin, Frenchman's Reef, and Bowie House. Later this month, we're going to sign a deal that brings those two hotels, both Bowie House and Westin, into the ownership of the Virgin Islands government and the people of the Virgin Islands. We invested another $40 million in the Hampton through the hotel redevelopment tax. $25 million, the legislature and the PFA, for the dredging of Charlotte Amalie Harbor. The completion of the first phase of Veterans Drive was done in this administration. Also the completion of Main Street, the revitalization of the Fort Christian parking lot, Veterans Drive Phase 2, which is over $80 million. New bathrooms in downtown Charlotte Amalie, complementing the new Vendors Plaza, the revitalization of Education Park, and the revitalization of 99 Stairs, where we're doing the entire thing. The collaboration between the EDA and the government of the Virgin Islands with HARP to revitalize Cricky's Alley, International Plaza, Burns Ice Plant. The whole redevelopment of the waterfront. The purchase of the Island Block property, which will now be the new education curriculum center. The redevelopment of Crownbay, which is a big fetching deal. Now, y'all supposed to clap for that? There's so many amazing things that happen. I think we get kind of tone deaf to the magnitude of some of the things that we're dealing with here. So within the course of this administration, we will actually acquire 3 hotels: Bowie House, Frenchman's Reef, and Hampton Inn. Yes, one day, Sean, it will belong to the people of the Virgin Islands. Thank you. It is a practice that we didn't invent. It's a habit and a creation from our forefathers that saw fit to give the land to build uh, Emerald Beach and the other two hotels down there. And a lot of the property you see around the waterfront. You see, the people of the Virgin Islands own everything almost from the University of the Virgin Islands. And now we're going to own up Black Point Hill too. We're about to buy that in a couple of weeks. All the way to Frenchman's Reef almost, certainly to Waiko Dock. That is reinvestment. That is planting seeds that for trees that you will not sit under. We have been doing this because it makes sense. It's a simple deal. It's just like Diageo and the way that was done by our former governor, John DeYoung. Carlton understood that peanut butter and jelly sandwiches was selling. He had peanut butter and jelly, but Royal Caribbean had the bread. And those are the kind of partnerships that make the Virgin Islands work. We're looking way beyond this recovery about the things that will happen in 10, 15 years that will keep our people fed, keep their homes, and maintain our roads, and certainly maintain the entire new infrastructure we are building. This is not the first time we are here. Governor Turnbull had a deal with Carnival many years ago. We decided to go it alone. This time, we have a partner that has the bread and the passengers to make not only St. Thomas, but St. Croix a tourism success. So I'd like to thank you for your partnership with the Virgin Islands. I also want to thank my good friend, and after I would say my good friend Carlton Dow, because I would go anywhere with this guy, you know. My other good friend, Carl Knight at WAPA said, you know, we went to the legislature the other day. I had to just get a piece of land zone change permit from the legislature. I got a million questions put through the ringer. He said, Dow walk up there and sell the whole of Sobeys for $7 million with 2 questions. Truly amazing. The other thing is the money that we have is from one hand to the next. The Port Authority, the government of the Virgin Islands, one thing. That $7 million is going to be reinvested in our people, not only in St. Thomas, but in St. John, as well as St. Croix. Thank you, legislature. It's late in the day. It's a big, you know what that is, right? The sweet sound of money, baby. I love the fact that Royal Caribbean is here, but remember, we got aircraft carrier coming in anytime now. We gotta make room for them too. We continue to make strides in the Virgin Islands and bring us back to a place of prosperity where we once were. It's not easy. And every day we're gonna face challenges, but with the perseverance of people like Mr. Dow, the cooperation of our legislature, the faith in us from our private partners, the blessings of God and your support will make it happen for the Virgin Islands. Love you.
Thank you, Governor Bryan. And now we will have a benediction by the Reverend Charles A. Seaton. And that will be followed by the agreement signing.
Let us pray. Thank you, God, for the smooth flow of the proceedings this afternoon. And now we commend the continuation of this redevelopment into your hands for the ultimate success. And now may the blessing of God Almighty, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, one God, be with us all, now and forevermore. Amen.
Thank you. You may be seated. As we get ready for the moment that we've been preparing for several years, I would like to ask Board Chairman, Mr. Willard John, to please proceed to the table here to my left. Mr. Carlton Dow, Port Authority Executive Director. Mr. Kevin Goldstein, the Head of Development for Cruise Terminals International, and the Honorable Governor Albert Bryan Jr. And what's being signed is the agreement between the Virgin Islands Port Authority and Crownbay Development. The lease agreement, I'm sorry. And Crownbay Development is a subsidiary of Cruise Terminals International, which is CTI. Yes. We good? Okay. Now is a great opportunity for a photo op, please, gentlemen, please. Our photographers are to the left. We stand out the picture. Are we good? All right, good. A round of applause. This is a big, big, big deal for the Virgin Islands today. Please congratulate the Port Authority, Royal Caribbean Cruise Terminals International. I would ask all the dignitaries to please join us here in the front, all senators, governor, lieutenant governor, please, everyone who's on stage, to join us for a photo op in the front. And the captains of the Excel and the Star of the Seas, please join us here for a photo op. Katrina Duncan, come forward, please. Yes, please. No, you're front. You're front and center. And after this photo op, please join us in the Crownbay Center Cruise Lounge for a reception. You're all invited to join us. We would love to have you. We can have some people come on the stage if you need to. And Emmett, I'm going to let you direct how you need them, okay? Don't forget to join us in the cruise lounge after for our reception. Don't forget to join us in